I'm Marissa. I'm 34 years old. And my sister didn't just sleep with my husband. She turned around and asked me to be her maid of honor like none of it ever happened. Right now, I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot of Violet Bridal, watching through the front windows as my sister twirls in a strapless ivory gown like she didn't blow my life to pieces less than a year ago. She's glowing, laughing, surrounded by champagne flutes and compliments. And I'm here because I said yes.to being her maid of honor.to smiling in her pictures.to zipping up her dress and pretending we aren't both carrying a secret no one else knows. Let me take you back 10 months ago. I was married. If you've ever been stabbed in the heart by someone who shares your blood, comment below and subscribe. I promise you are not alone. Not to some whirlwind romance. Not to a guy who wrote me poems or took me on spontaneous vacations. But to Chris, my college sweetheart turned husband of 4 years. The kind of man who always made sure my tires were full and the bills were paid on time. Not flashy. Not dramatic. Just solid. We had a quiet life. Our home was a modest condo with gray tile floors, a sunroom filled with plants, and 2 rescue cats named Olive and Spoons. We had Taco Tuesdays, Friday night wine and pizza, and matching "This is my weekend mugs. We weren't the couple people envied, but we were the couple everyone counted on, until I came home early from a weekend away. It was a coworker retreat in Asheville, supposed to be 3 days of networking and hot springs. I drove back on a Sunday night instead of Monday morning. Wanted to surprise Chris. Thought maybe we'd get takeout, fall asleep on the couch like usual. I walked in around 7:45 p.m. The lights were off, but the TV was on. The air felt different. Not heavy. Just off, like someone had sprayed perfume I didn't own. Like the bed had been made too neatly. Like the wine glasses in the sink still had lipstick prints on them, not mine. Still, I didn't say anything that night. I tucked it away. Told myself I was imagining things, but then it happened again. Little things. Chris locking his phone when I walked in. Showing up late from work more often. New cologne I'd never seen before, and finally, one night, after he'd fallen asleep, I picked up his phone while it buzzed on the nightstand. No password, because Chris didn't lie, except he did. The messages were there. A text thread under a name he hadn't even bothered to disguise. Kara, can't stop thinking about you. I hate how complicated this is. You make me feel like myself again. Kara.my sister.my baby sister. The one I used to pick up from school when mom was late. The one who begged to sleep in my bed after watching scary movies. The one who gave a teary-eyed toast at my wedding, saying, "Chris, take care of my sister. Or I'll come for you." I sat there staring at the screen for 5 whole minutes, heart pounding so loud I couldn't hear the TV in the background. Then I scrolled back. Weeks of messages, photos, plans. References to nights at hotels. There it was in black and white. My marriage unraveling at the hands of the 2 people I trusted most. I didn't scream. I didn't wake him up. I just got up, packed a duffel bag, fed the cats, and left. He called the next morning in a panic. I let it ring. Then I texted, "You don't have to explain. I saw everything." He replied 6 times. I didn't read any of them. Kara, meanwhile, dead silent. No call. No apology. Not even a lame excuse. The next time I heard from her was 2 months later, in the form of a pastel invitation in the mail. You're invited. Kara and Jason's engagement brunch, celebrate love. I sat at my kitchen table, holding the card like it had teeth. She hadn't even texted me to tell me she was engaged. She just sent the invite like we were cousins who only saw each other at Christmas, and I'd barely picked my jaw off the floor when the next blow came. A voicemail. "Hey Riss. I hope this isn't weird. I know things have been hard, but I really want you to be part of my big day. You've always been my rock, and I can't imagine walking down the aisle without you by my side. Will you be my maid of honor?" She said it like we hadn't spoken in months, like she hadn't destroyed my marriage, like I was still the sister she used to braid hair with on Sunday mornings. I didn't respond for days, just let it sit there on my phone, but it festered in my chest. What kind of person betrays their sister like that and then has the nerve to ask her to smile through their wedding? And what kind of woman actually says yes? Apparently me, because after too many sleepless nights, too many pitying texts from mutual friends, and too many glasses of wine, I finally picked up the phone and texted back, okay. But don't expect it to be easy. And now here I am, sitting in the parking lot, watching Kara try on wedding dresses with our mother clapping from the couch and her bridesmaids buzzing around like bees in pastel silk. She looks happy, radiant, even. And me, I'm stuck between two instincts. One that wants to get out of the car and slap the smile off her face, and one that still, somehow, remembers loving her. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what I'm trying to prove, but I do know this. This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of something I didn't see coming, and Kara, she has no idea what's coming next. The first time Kara tried on a wedding dress in front of me, I watched her like a stranger. We were in this boutique on the edge of town. All white wood floors and blush velvet ottomans, twinkly lights in every corner. A space that practically screamed, "This is the happiest day of your life." Not mine, hers. She walked out of the dressing room in a lace mermaid gown that hugged every inch of her like it had been waiting for her specifically. The stylist gasped. Our mom teared up instantly. Her friends squealed, and me, I forced a smile so stiff it gave me a headache. "Oh wow," I said. "That's beautiful." Kara turned to the mirror, eyes wide. "Really? You think so?" I nodded. She didn't flinch. Didn't blush. Didn't show even an ounce of guilt. It was like what happened between her and Chris had been erased, deleted from her memory like a bad typo. Like I was still the big sister who always hyped her up, handed her my favorite scarf, and gave her half my fries without being asked. But I wasn't. Not anymore. I was something else now, something quieter. Harder. A woman standing in a room full of tulle and lies, trying to hold her sanity together with nothing but spite and self-control. "I think this is the one," Kara whispered, her voice dreamy. "Don't you think so, Riss?" She used my old nickname. The one only she ever called me. I stared at her through the mirror. For a split second, I could see us as kids. Sitting on the bathroom floor, wrapping toilet paper around ourselves like dresses, pretending we were brides marrying imaginary grooms who brought us candy and let us name all the pets. We used to love weddings. We used to believe in forever. But that was before we knew that love could turn into a weapon, before I knew that my own sister was capable of reaching into my life and snapping it in half without blinking. Kara turned to face me. "You okay?" I smiled again. Smaller this time. "Just tired." She nodded. "It's a lot." "I get it." "No, you don't. You caused it." After the fitting, we went to lunch, her idea, of course. A little bistro downtown with overpriced salads and cocktails in mason jars. She sat across from me, chattering about centerpieces and music playlists like we were planning prom. "I was thinking blush pink and sage green," she said. "Kind of romantic, but not too overdone." I stirred my drink. "Sounds nice. And for the bachelorette, maybe the lake house? We haven't been in years." My stomach turned. She meant our lake house, the one our grandparents used to take us to every summer. The one I hadn't stepped foot in since the divorce. "Since the implosion, I don't think I can get the time off," I said. Her face fell, but only for a second. "You haven't even asked your job yet." "I know. But work's been intense." She didn't push. She just smiled, like she always did when she wanted something she wasn't ready to fight for. After lunch, we hugged. Her perfume clung to my jacket for hours, sweet and light and infuriating. I went home and collapsed on my couch, still in jeans. Still wearing the fake smile I'd been holding all day. I wanted to scream. Instead, I texted my therapist. "Me, can we move our session to tomorrow? I'm hanging on by dental floss." "Dr. Rowe, yes. 10 a.m. I'll be there." I'd been seeing Dr. Rowe since the divorce. Since I realized I was walking around like a ghost in my own life, holding grief in my jaw and betrayal in my lungs. She once told me, "Anger is just pain with armor." At first, I thought that sounded dramatic. Now, I knew it was true. When I walked into her office the next morning, I didn't even wait for the small talk. She tried on a dress in front of me. A wedding dress. Dr. Rowe blinked slowly. "How did that feel?" Like I was watching someone rob me with a smile on their face. She nodded. "Did she mention what happened?" "No. She hasn't said a word. Not since that day. Not even to acknowledge it?" "Nope. Nothing." It's like she believes if she just moves on fast enough, no one will notice. Dr. Rowe leaned forward slightly. And why do you think you said yes? That stopped me. I stared out the window. The sky was overcast. A single bird was perched on the ledge. I don't know, I said finally. Maybe because saying no felt like admitting she broke something I can't fix. Dr. Rowe waited, or maybe I wanted to stay close enough to hurt her back. And there it was, the truth, the thing I hadn't said out loud, not even to myself. I didn't say yes because I forgave her. I said yes because I wasn't done deciding what kind of ending I wanted to write, and maybe a part of me, the ugliest, darkest part, wanted to be standing next to her when the guilt finally hit. Wanted to be close enough to watch it happen, wanted her to see me every day until the weight of what she'd done finally cracked her mask. But even that felt hollow, because what if she never broke? What if she never cared? What if I was giving her the best seat in my own pain parade, and she didn't even bother to clap? Dr. Rose said gently, "You don't owe her anything, Marissa. Not your presence. Not your patience. Not your pain." I nodded, but I didn't quit, not yet, because something inside me needed more. The next few weeks were a blur of wedding planning, group chats with her bridesmaids, venue walkthroughs, cake tastings. I played the part, smiled for selfies, held her veil up in fitting rooms, took notes when the florist spoke too fast, and every time I looked at her, I wondered how many people knew. If her fiancé knew. If my mother knew. If Kara was just hoping I'd never speak. Or if she counted on it. And then one night, she called me, crying. I sat on my bed in pajamas, phone pressed to my ear, listening to her sniffle like she was 17 again and just got dumped before prom. "I don't think Jason even wants to get married," she whispered. "He's been so distant lately. He says I'm too dramatic." I stayed quiet. "I mean, do you think I'm dramatic?" I closed my eyes, thought about how she'd burned my marriage to the ground and acted like I was the unreasonable one for not clapping at her bridal shower. Finally, I said, "Kara, do you even realize how hard this has been for me?" Silence. I continued, my voice shaking. "You never said sorry. Not once. You never acknowledged what you did. You just moved on like it didn't matter. Like I didn't matter." She inhaled sharply. "I didn't mean to fall for him." I froze. "Chris," she added. "It just happened." "No, Kara. It didn't just happen. You chose it. You chose to answer the texts. You chose to meet him. You chose to keep going even when you knew what it would do to me." Another long silence. Then, I didn't know how to stop. I stood up, walked to the window. "You know what the worst part is?" I said. "You didn't even try. You didn't even try to make it right. You just asked me to stand beside you like none of it mattered. Like I didn't matter. I thought if we just moved forward, maybe it would fade." "It didn't," I said flatly. "It still burns." She cried harder, but I didn't comfort her. I couldn't. That part of me, the part that used to catch her when she broke, had finally let go, and now, I wasn't sure I wanted to be her maid of honor anymore. I wasn't sure I could. Because standing next to someone in a white dress while pretending they didn't rip your world apart, that's not love. That's theater, and I was done playing her supporting role. After that phone call, something in me shifted. Not suddenly. Not with fireworks or rage or the dramatic declaration I imagined in therapy a dozen times. Just slowly, like the first leaf falling off a tree before you even realize the seasons changed. I started ghosting her, not entirely. Just enough, replying late, pretending I missed texts, skipping the wedding group chat for work stuff, and staying silent during the dress alterations meeting when she asked about shoe colors. And to my surprise, Kara didn't chase. She didn't ask if I was okay. She didn't follow up when I skipped the florist appointment or the RSVP dinner with her fiancé's family. She just kept going, planning her fairy tale, tweeting about #blessbride moments, posting mirror selfies with captions like, "Can't wait to marry my best friend." And all I could think was, you already betrayed one best friend. But sure, let's play pretend again. I started having dreams, not of Kara. Of Chris, him sitting on our old couch, barefoot, eating cereal like nothing had happened, looking up at me with his dumb half smile like he used to. I end the dream, I'd scream at him, hit him, sometimes kiss him, sometimes he'd just vanish. I'd wake up sweating, confused, heart beating like it had just been chased through something sharp, and each morning, I'd stare at my ceiling, asking the question I still hadn't answered. Why am I still doing this? Why was I still standing beside a woman who betrayed me? Why was I holding her bouquet while swallowing my fury? Why was I pretending to be okay when my chest still felt like glass? I asked Dr. Rowe. I think you want closure, she said. And your brain thinks standing there in that dress, holding her train and watching her say, I do, might give it to you. I sighed. That sounds stupid when you say it out loud. She smiled gently. Pain makes us do strange things to find peace. That night, I stared at my reflection, held up the champagne-colored satin dress Kara picked for her bridesmaids. It fit. It was elegant. It made my shoulders look strong, but I couldn't stop imagining the day. Her smiling, me smiling, photos taken, me holding her bouquet like I held her secrets, and suddenly, I couldn't breathe. I hung the dress back up, turned off the light, and sat in the dark for a long time. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want her to suffer. I just wanted to feel like me again, and for the first time, I realized I wouldn't find that by standing at her side. The next morning, I made the call. Straight to her cell. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, you okay? I cut straight to it. I can't be your maid of honor. Silence. I've been trying, I said. I've been showing up, I've been biting my tongue, I've been pretending. But I'm done pretending. No, I said. You don't get to me anymore. She went quiet. I kept going. You slept with my husband. My husband, Kara. And you never even said sorry. You didn't cry. You didn't explain. You didn't try to make it right. You just moved on, like what you did didn't completely ruin my life. I didn't mean, stop saying that, I snapped. You didn't mean to fall into his bed? Into his arms? You didn't mean to lie to me while I told you about my anniversary plans. She started crying. I didn't care. You asked me to be your maid of honor because you wanted a band-aid. Not a sister. You wanted me to play the part so no one would have to ask questions. That's not true, she whispered. It is, I said. And I'm done playing. More silence. Then, quietly, so that's it? You're not coming to the wedding. I paused, because the truth was, I didn't know yet. No, I said. I might come. But not as your maid of honor. And not to pretend. If I show up, it'll be as a guest. A damaged, betrayed, grieving guest who still doesn't know how she ended up the villain in her own story. She didn't speak, and I didn't either. We just sat there, breathing on opposite ends of a shattered relationship. I hung up first, and then I cried, not just a little, the kind of crying that shakes your ribs and makes your whole body sore the next day. Because saying no to Kara wasn't just about the dress. Or the wedding. It was about walking away from the role I'd played my whole life. The big sister who fixed things, the emotional translator, the peacekeeper, the one who carried everyone else's guilt and called it loyalty. I didn't want to be that girl anymore. I couldn't. A few days passed, then a week. Kara didn't call. Didn't text, but our mom did. She showed up at my door, tight-lipped and uncomfortable. She held a plastic container of lemon bars, my favorite, and sat at my table like it was an ambush. Your sister's upset, she said. I stared at her. So am I. She says you blindsided her. She slept with my husband, I snapped. Mom flinched. It was a mistake. I laughed. How many times does a mistake get to unzip his pants before it becomes a decision? She paled. I kept going. You know what I don't understand? I said. Not just what Kara did, but how everyone else decided to act like I was the problem for not being over it fast enough. Mom sighed. She's your sister. And I was her sister when she betrayed me. Where was that logic then? She didn't answer. I stood, walked to the window. Tell her I wish her a beautiful wedding, I said quietly. But I won't be standing up there with her. And Mom, she left the lemon bars, but she didn't hug me goodbye. That night, I did something I hadn't done in months. I dug through my photos, old ones. Me and Kara on the beach at 9 and 6. Wrapped in towels and covered in sand. Us at prom. Us on my wedding day, her grinning behind me as she adjusted my veil. I stared at those photos like I was looking at ghosts, because the girl in them, she's gone, not just to me. To herself. And all I could do now was mourn her. The next week, the wedding went on. I didn't go. I sent a card. No gift. I heard through mutual friends that it was beautiful. That Kara looked radiant. That Jason cried during his vows. I didn't cry. I sat at home, drank tea, and watched a thunderstorm roll in like a cleansing. And for the first time in 10 months, I didn't feel broken, just tired, just free. You don't get a medal for surviving betrayal. No one hands you a certificate the day you finally say, I'm not going back. There's no parade, no standing ovation, no neat little bow. There's just silence. And then, if you're lucky, a slow breath. That's what it felt like the morning after Kara's wedding. The first breath I'd taken in nearly a year that didn't feel like it had someone else's shame trapped inside it. I didn't check Instagram. Didn't peek at the wedding hashtag. Didn't ask anyone how it went. I just made pancakes in my apartment. Not for anyone, just for me, and ate them while listening to a playlist I used to love before my life imploded. I sang along. Off key. Loud. My cat jumped off the couch like she was offended. It was the first real moment of joy I'd felt in months, and I realized something. This, not the crying, not the breakdowns, not even the confrontation. This was healing, coming back to yourself. Slowly. Quietly. In small, tender, rebellious ways. Like eating carbs unapologetically. Or singing bad pop songs alone. Or saying, I don't need to see the pictures to know it wasn't about me anymore. Because it wasn't. Kara's wedding wasn't mine to protest. It wasn't mine to fix or destroy. It was hers, and what she did with that spotlight, that was on her. Me, I was building something new. Even if I didn't fully know what yet. A week after the wedding, she texted, Kara, I know you probably don't want to talk, but I just wanted to say thank you for the card. It meant a lot. I missed you. I stared at the screen for a long time, then turned it over and left it on the counter. Not because I hated her, but because I didn't owe her more of me. Not right now, maybe not ever. That weekend, I took a day trip to the mountains. Just me and my camera. Something I hadn't touched since the divorce. Photography used to be my escape, my quiet rebellion. I used to walk for hours, catching shadows and light and the stillness of things that didn't ask me to smile or explain myself. I hiked up a trail I hadn't seen since college, let the air hit my skin, and cried when I reached the overlook, not because I was sad, but because I had made it there, alone, and it was enough. I started sleeping better after that, started cooking real food again, started texting friends back, not because I felt obligated, but because I wanted to. It was like I'd stepped out of a house that had been on fire for so long, I'd forgotten what clean air tasted like. Then came the real twist. A message from Chris. He emailed me. Subject line, just wanted to say I'm sorry. I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. It was short, 3 paragraphs. He didn't try to explain. Didn't ask for anything, just said he was sorry. That I didn't deserve what happened. That he hoped I was okay. He ended with, you were always better than I deserved. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, not because I wanted him back, not even because it hurt, but because for the first time, I didn't feel smaller than him. I didn't feel like the sad, abandoned wife who wasn't enough. I felt like a woman who had outgrown the man who once claimed to love her while undressing my sister behind my back. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. His apology wasn't a key. It was a mirror. And I didn't hate what I saw in it. That night, I sat on the couch with a glass of wine and started journaling. I wrote everything I couldn't say during the fallout, all the things I screamed into pillows, all the thoughts I shoved down at dinner parties and therapy sessions. I wrote, you took something from me, but I found something better. You burned down my life, but I built a new one. You lied. You cheated. You pretended, but I didn't, and that's how I know I'm still me. The next morning, I printed it out, framed it, hung it above my desk like a war medal, because that page, that was my closure, the real kind, the kind you write for yourself when no one else is watching, the kind you don't have to earn. Just claim. I told Dr. Rowe about it. She smiled. That, she said, is what forgiveness looks like. I shook my head. It doesn't feel like forgiveness. Because it isn't for them, she said. It's for you. A few days later, I saw Kara at the farmer's market. She was with her new husband. I almost didn't recognize him. They were holding hands, looking at apples. I saw her before she saw me, and for a second, I panicked. I could walk the other way, duck into the bakery, hide behind a table of squash, but I didn't. I walked forward. She turned. eyes widening when she saw me. We stood face to face for the first time since the call, and without thinking, I said, "Hi." She smiled, slow and unsure. "Hi." There was a pause, not tense. Just full of everything unspoken. "How are you?" she asked. I nodded. "Good." "You look good," she said. "Thanks." Another beat. Then I said, "Congratulations on the wedding." Her mouth opened slightly, then closed. She blinked. "Thank you." I looked at her ring. Her face. The man beside her, and I didn't feel anger. Didn't feel grief, just distance, like she belonged to another life now, another timeline. One I'd finally stepped out of. "I should go," I said. She nodded. "Okay." As I turned to leave, she said quietly, "I'm sorry, Marissa." I paused, but I didn't turn around, and I didn't say it back, because it wasn't mine to give. Not that day. Not anymore. I walked away, head high, shoulders loose, and for the first time since the day I packed my bag and walked out of my old condo, I knew. I was done, not pretending, not proving, not performing, just done, free, alive, whole. There's this strange thing that happens when you finally start to heal. Not the fake kind, not the "I'm fine" you say through clenched teeth while doom scrolling and ignoring texts. I mean real healing. The kind where your body unclenches, your mind slows down, and you catch yourself laughing for real at something dumb, without any shadow of pain attached, and then, out of nowhere, you start questioning "Do I deserve this peace? Have I really moved on? Or am I just distracting myself from the parts one still haven't faced?" That's where I found myself 3 weeks after Kara's wedding. Things had been calm. I was working again, not just doing the bare minimum, but actually showing up for my clients, pitching new ideas, rediscovering that part of me I'd put on mute when the world went sideways. I started reconnecting with friends, went out for drinks, started yoga again, even flirted with someone on Hinge. A bartender named Daniel with kind eyes and a dog named Waffles. I wasn't in love. I wasn't even ready, but I was open, and after what I'd been through, that felt like progress. Then one night, I got a call from Abby. Abby is my cousin, technically Kara's age, but we were always closer. She lived 2 hours away and didn't know about what happened until I told her months after the divorce. She was furious, told me she almost drove down to accidentally spill red wine on Kara's dress. She didn't, but I believed she would have. "Hey," she said on the phone. "Are you sitting down?" I froze. "Should I be?" She exhaled. "Kara posted something." I didn't want to know. I really didn't want to know. But I also knew I couldn't stop myself. "What is it?" "I'll just send it." 10 seconds later, my phone buzzed with a screenshot. Kara's Instagram post. A picture of her and Jason on the beach, wrapped in fairy lights, kissing like they were in a Nicholas Sparks knockoff, and the caption, "Sometimes the best love stories begin after the worst betrayals." I read it 3 times, then again, and I laughed. Loud, sharp, the kind of laugh that makes you sound a little unhinged, because this girl, this woman who cheated with my husband, was romanticizing the fallout like it was some tragic meet-cute. As if she'd been hurt. As if she had been betrayed. I didn't know whether to scream or post a reply with the full story. Abby was still on the phone. "You okay?" she asked. "I'm fine," I said, but I wasn't. Not exactly. I was angry again, and not just at her. Everyone who never knew the truth, who still treated Kara like the sweet, silly little sister with a heart of gold and an Instagram filled with golden hour selfies and wellness quotes. I wanted to scream. Do you know what she did? Do you know she blew up her own sister's life? And now gets to wear white and hold hands like it was all part of some fairy tale ending. I didn't sleep much that night. I tossed and turned, wrote angry notes in my phone and deleted them, debated posting my own version of the story, but by morning I didn't. Not because I was over it, because I realized I didn't need to compete. Her version didn't erase mine. Her lies didn't weaken my truth. She could craft whatever story she wanted, and I could live mine, out loud, unbothered, unashamed. I texted Abby back. She can romanticize it all she wants. I'm not playing her villain anymore. She replied with a heart emoji and a photo of her middle finger. Later that week, I went on a second date with Daniel. We got ramen, talked about dumb horror movies, Sat in his car for an hour after, laughing about nothing. At one point, he looked at me and said, "You've got this stillness to you. Like you've seen some shit but didn't let it wreck you." I blinked. I think I let it wreck me. But I survived anyway. He smiled. Even better. We didn't kiss, but I didn't want to. I just wanted to remember what it felt like to be seen by someone who didn't want to rewrite me. That weekend, I posted something of my own. Not a subtweet, not a clapback, just a photo of my desk. Sunlight hitting the surface just right, coffee mug in the corner, my journal open to a page I hadn't planned to share. I captioned it, "Closure isn't found in someone else's apology. It's found in the moment you realize you don't need it to move forward." It got shared over 3,000 times. The comments rolled in, "I needed this. This made me cry. This feels like something I've been trying to say for months, but couldn't put into words." And it hit me, Kara might have taken a lot from me. My marriage, my sense of safety, my illusion of family, but she hadn't taken my voice, and I'd finally figured out how to use it. Abby called a few days later, out of breath. "I have an idea," she said. "No offense, but your ideas usually involve glitter or karaoke. This is different." I raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening. I think you should tell your story. Like, really tell it. Not in code. Not in captions. On a podcast." I laughed. "A podcast? Yes. You're a writer. You speak like someone who's already healed enough to help other people start." I hesitated. She barreled on. "Call it something like Uninvited or The Sister Clause or something. You don't even have to use names. Just tell the truth. Let people hear it from your own voice. Let them know they're not crazy when family breaks them." I was silent for a long time. Then I said, "You know what? Maybe I will." And I meant it, because maybe there were 100 Karas out there, and 100 Marissas too, sitting in their apartments, staring at phones, holding grief and rage and the weight of being told they were overreacting. Maybe someone needed to hear it, and maybe I needed to say it, not out of revenge, but out of release. To stop carrying her silence like a secret, and to finally let go of the version of me who still wondered if I could have fixed what broke, because I couldn't. She broke it, and I rebuilt. The first episode was called When the Apology Never Comes. I didn't overthink the title. I just wrote it in my journal one morning and thought, yeah, that's what this is about. That aching space people don't talk about. The aftermath when the people who hurt you go on smiling, living, marrying, while you're still trying to scrape your heart off the bathroom floor. I recorded it on a rainy Thursday, in my closet. With a $40 microphone and a glass of wine. I told the story. Not all the gory details, not names, just the truth, that I was married, that I was betrayed, that it was someone I never thought capable of that kind of damage. That I said yes to her wedding anyway. Because I thought performing forgiveness might make it real. That walking away from her, my own sister, was the most honest thing I'd ever done. I didn't cry during the recording. I thought I would, but I didn't. I just spoke, and when I was done, I sat in the dark, sweating, heart racing. It felt like standing naked on a stage. But also like shedding a skin I'd outgrown. I uploaded it the next morning. Didn't even announce it to anyone but Abby and Daniel. I figured maybe a few people would listen. I was wrong. Within 3 days, it had over 10,000 plays. By the end of the week, it hit 60,000. And the messages started rolling in. Women, men, siblings, ex-spouses, people I didn't know and would never meet. You said what I've never had the words for. My sister slept with my boyfriend too. Everyone told me to get over it. I haven't spoken to my family in 4 years. I cried listening to this. Thank you. I was stunned, not because it went viral, but because I realized how common this kind of betrayal really was, how many people had been left holding their pain like a grenade with no pin, while the people who pulled it walked away without a scratch. By episode 3, I was getting interview requests, small blogs, local radio, even a women's healing podcast with a massive following. I told my story again and again, and each time, it got easier. I stopped shaking, stopped flinching when I heard my own voice say she never apologized. And I stopped waiting. People kept asking, "Do you think you'll ever forgive her?" And I always answered the same way. I don't know if forgiveness is the goal anymore. I think peace is. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Sometimes, forgiveness is just another performance, another way to be good. Another way to be palatable. I didn't want to be palatable. I wanted to be free. And freedom, for me, was finally saying, you don't get to hurt me and also decide how I heal. That fall, I hosted a live recording event. A local venue offered their space for free. Abby drove in to help me set up chairs and string fairy lights across the back wall. Daniel brought snacks, ran the audio, and kissed my forehead before the crowd arrived like we'd been together for years, not weeks. The room filled fast, about 60 people, mostly women. One man sat in the back, arms crossed, eyes red. When I took the stage, I wasn't nervous. I was ready. This podcast started because I said yes to something I didn't want, being the maid of honor for someone who betrayed me. And it became about everything I've been too afraid to say since that moment. I paused, looked out at the room. There's a version of me that still lives in that moment. The one holding the wedding dress bag. The one who smiled through fittings and tastings and fake hugs. The one who wanted to scream the truth, but swallowed it because I thought staying silent made me strong. I looked at my hands. I don't want to be her anymore. That night, after the show, a woman waited until everyone else had left before approaching me. She was in her late 40s. Soft cardigan. Kind eyes. Hands shaking. My daughter did what your sister did, she said. I blinked. I haven't spoken to her in 6 years. But I listen to you every week. And I just wanted to say, thank you. For not sugarcoating it. For not rushing to forgive just to make people comfortable. I hugged her, tight, and when she walked away, I cried in the back hallway for 15 minutes, because I realized something I hadn't until that moment. Telling your story doesn't just free you. It frees other people. It cracks something open in the dark and says, hey, you're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not alone. The next day, I got a message from Kara.no subject line. Just a short paragraph. I listened to your podcast. I didn't expect to cry, but I did. I know I don't deserve your kindness. Or your silence. But thank you for not naming me. And I'm sorry. For everything. Really. I read it 4 times, then I deleted it, not because I was angry, but because I didn't need it anymore. Her sorry was a whisper in a storm I'd already survived. It couldn't touch me now. I didn't reply. I closed my laptop, went to the park, took pictures of the sky, and breathed. I breathed like someone who had finally built a life with no holes in it. A life where I didn't have to justify my pain. Or perform strength for people who didn't deserve it. A life that was mine fully, truly, loudly, and in that moment. I knew this story wasn't about betrayal anymore. It was about reclaiming my voice. My worth. My self, and I'd never let anyone take it from me again. The thing about reclaiming your voice is, once you do, there's no going back to the version of yourself who used to whisper, not for family, not for comfort, not even for the illusion of peace. Especially not then, and that lesson came crashing in, loud and clear, the night my mother showed up uninvited. I hadn't spoken to her much since everything went down. We never fought directly. She wasn't the yelling type. She was the look over your glasses type. The tight smile and change the subject type. The can't we all just move forward type. In other words, she was Kara's type. So when the knock came that Friday night, 3 sharp taps, I knew better than my own ringtone. I almost didn't open the door, but something in me said, face it. So I did, and there she was, wearing her work clothes, slacks, cardigan, the same pearl studs she's had since I was 12, holding a grocery bag like it was armor. Hi, she said. I stepped aside. She walked in, set the bag on the counter, and said, I brought you those crackers you like. I didn't touch them. She sat at the table like she used to when she'd come over during the early days of my marriage, back when she'd bring frozen casseroles and ask why I didn't wear more color. I stayed standing. I've been listening to your podcast, she said. I stiffened. She noticed. I didn't know how much you were holding, she added softly. You never said. I laughed under my breath. Would it have mattered if I had? She looked at her hands. I'm not here to defend what she did, she said. She's your daughter too. She looked up. And so are you. It came out sharper than I meant it, but I didn't walk it back. I sat across from her, the space between us heavy with everything we hadn't said in months. She's sorry, you know, she said. No, I corrected. She says she's sorry. That doesn't mean she understands. My mother sighed. You know, when I was your age, I thought I had to keep the peace no matter what. Even if it meant biting my tongue until it bled. Yeah, I said. That part you passed down real well. She blinked. I kept going. I didn't expect you to choose sides. But I didn't expect you to pretend like nothing happened, either. You showed up to her bridal shower with a bow on the gift and a glass raised like she hadn't just blown up my entire life. I was trying to hold us together, she said quietly, by holding me hostage. Her voice trembled. I didn't know what else to do. Doing nothing was a choice, Mom. And you made it. We sat in that no yelling, just pain, old, bitter, familiar. After a long pause, she said, I was wrong. I should have checked on you more. Should have asked how you were really doing. But I didn't know how to fix it. I stared at her. You couldn't fix it, I said. But you could have sat with me in the wreckage. She nodded slowly, then reached into her purse and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. I wrote something. I don't know if it's anything, but I wanted to say something. Without fumbling it. She handed it to me. I didn't open it. Not then. She stood, adjusted her purse strap, and said, I'm proud of you. I didn't say it before. I'm saying it now. Then she left. No closure. Just a moment. More honest than any we'd had in years. I stared at the paper for a long time, then tucked it into my journal without reading it, because sometimes the gesture matters more than the words. And I wasn't ready yet, but I saw her, and that was something. Later that week, I recorded an episode called The Cost of Being Quiet. It was about the weight of unspoken hurt, how silence can be violence when it's used to protect the wrong people, how women are raised to prioritize harmony over honesty. Even when that harmony is killing us. It became my most shared episode yet. I heard from women in their 60s who said they'd never told anyone about their family betrayal. From men who said their sisters never forgave them, and they finally understood why. From one girl who said she was 18 and had just cut off her mom for always choosing her boyfriend's side. She wrote, I don't feel crazy anymore. I feel seen. I cried reading it, because that's all I ever wanted. To feel seen. Not perfect, not strong, just seen. That weekend, I went to visit Abby. She threw a small gathering in her backyard, fire pit, wine, Spotify playlist full of throwback hits. Daniel came with me. We weren't official, but we were something soft. Steady. Knew. I introduced him as someone I like, and he kissed my temple in front of everyone without flinching. Abby pulled me aside halfway through the night. You're glowing, she said. I rolled my eyes. Don't be dramatic. I'm serious. You don't look like someone trying to prove anything anymore. You just look like you. I stared at her, and for the first time in over a year, I believed it, because she was right. I wasn't performing anymore. Not for Kara, not for Chris, not for my mom, not for anyone. I was just being, fully, freely, finally. That night, I opened my mother's letter. It was short, handwritten, careful, a little shaky. She wrote, You don't have to forgive me, but I needed you to know I'm trying. I've spent so long smoothing over messes, I forgot that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is sit in the rubble. I'm sitting now. I love you. I didn't cry, but I did sleep soundly, and when I woke up, I texted her. I don't know where we go from here. But thank you for saying it. That mattered. She didn't reply right away, but the next day, I got a photo from her. Of a quote on a coffee shop chalkboard. She remembered who she was, and the game changed. I smiled, not because it was poetic, but because she knew it applied to me, and finally, maybe she wasn't afraid to admit that. That week, I started drafting a book proposal, not about the betrayal, about the rebuilding, because that's the part people forget. The messy, quiet, powerful rebirth that comes after the wreckage, and I wasn't done telling that story, not even close. The first time I walked past my old condo again, it felt like pressing a bruise. It was a crisp Saturday morning. I was heading to a coffee shop I used to love, one I'd avoided for over a year because it sat just 2 blocks from the life I used to live. I didn't plan to go near the building, but something in me said, do it. So I did. I turned the corner, walked slow, and there it was, same building, same steps, Same black railing. I clung to the day I dragged my suitcase out in the rain, numb and shaking. The new tenants had a fall wreath on the door, a plant on the stoop. Their doormat said, "Home sweet home." It wasn't mine anymore, and weirdly, that didn't hurt. It felt like seeing an old photo of yourself in clothes that don't fit, familiar, but distant. I stood there for a full minute, breathing deep, letting myself feel every flicker of memory. The late-night fights, the quiet breakfasts, the way Chris used to leave his shoes in the exact wrong spot like he was trying to trip me. Then I turned and walked away. No tears, no anger, just release. Because that's the thing they never tell you. Moving on doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it's just a quiet walk past a place that used to wreck you, and realizing it doesn't anymore. That afternoon, I sat in the coffee shop, laptop open, writing chapter 6 of my book. It was called The Space Where My Sister Lived. It wasn't a takedown. It was a reckoning. An honest look at how our childhood shaped us. How Kara always reached for chaos while I clung to control. How we protected each other until we didn't. I wrote, "I used to think love was measured by what you'd do for someone. But now I think it's measured by what you won't do. There are lines love won't cross." And she crossed them. I stared at that line for a long time before saving the draft. Daniel picked me up that night. He'd been patient through everything, never pressed me to open up, never flinched when I did. We drove to a late movie, sat in the back, his hand resting on mine like it had always belonged there. Halfway through, I turned and whispered, "You're not a rebound." He smiled without looking away from the screen. I know. I didn't say anything else, but I meant it, and he knew, because he never needed me to say everything to understand me. The next morning, I got an email from a publishing editor. Subject line, "Let's talk about this book." She'd found my podcast, listened to every episode, read every blog post. Her email was kind, clear, and confident. "We want to help you bring this story to shelves. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's honest. Women will see themselves in your words, and they'll feel less alone." I stared at the screen, breath caught in my chest. Not because I didn't think I could write a book, but because, for the first time, someone else did. I called Abby. She screamed so loud I had to pull the phone away from my ear. "Marissa," she gasped. "Do you understand what this means?" "I think so." "No, babe. This is not just a book. This is a life. This is you stepping fully into the spotlight after everyone tried to make you small." I laughed. "You always did have a flair for the dramatic." She paused. "Where do you think I learned it?" We laughed, cried, made plans for celebratory drinks that night, but in the middle of all the joy, there was still something unspoken. Kara. I hadn't heard from her since her message after the podcast went viral. She hadn't commented, hadn't liked anything, hadn't texted, but I knew she knew, and part of me wondered if she resented it. If she thought I was using her pain for fame, when really, I'd just stopped protecting her silence. The night before I signed the contract, she called. The screen lit up with her name, and I just stared at it, then answered, "Hi." There was a long pause. Then, "I heard about the book." "Yeah. I read the proposal." I blinked. "How?" "Mom showed me." I stayed quiet. Kara's voice was soft, measured. "I thought I'd be mad, that I'd feel exposed. But it's fair." "That surprised me," she went on. "You didn't lie. You didn't twist it. You just told it. And I think, maybe I needed to see myself that way." I didn't know what to say. She filled the silence. "Are we ever going to be okay again?" I closed my eyes. "I don't think we'll ever go back to what we were. But, something?" I sighed. "I don't know yet. But I'm open to something." She exhaled, shaky. "Okay." We didn't speak long, but it was the first time in a year I felt her reach toward me without asking me to forget, and that mattered. That weekend, I signed the contract, bought a bottle of champagne, sat on my balcony and toasted the sky. To the broken girl I'd been. To the woman I was becoming. To the story that almost ended me and became the one thing that freed me. I posted a photo that night, captioned it, "From betrayal to book deal. From silence to spotlight. This one's for every woman who rebuilt herself from rubble and dared to say, 'This is my voice, and I'm keeping it.'" The comments rolled in. Abby sent a voice memo crying. Daniel showed up with tacos and said, "Time to celebrate our author queen." And me, I just stood in my kitchen, hand over my heart, breathing deep, because I'd survived the worst thing I thought could happen, and now I was thriving, not in spite of it, but because I finally stopped hiding it. People think closure is a door you slam shut. Like it's loud. Final. A clean line between before and after, but now I know the truth. Closure is soft, quiet. It's not a door you slam. It's one you gently lock behind you, not because you're bitter, but because you've finally stopped waiting for someone to come back through it. The book came out 6 months later. A softcover memoir, minimal design, cream background with a thin crack running across it like a fracture line through porcelain. The title sat just above the crack, The Wedding I Didn't Attend. It wasn't clickbait. It wasn't revenge. It was a roadmap through grief, betrayal, and rebuilding, written like I was telling it across a kitchen table, wine glass in hand, no filter. I told the truth about Kara, about Chris, about how I used to mistake silence for strength. How I thought forgiveness was about giving something away, when really, it's about getting something back. The pre-orders blew up, book clubs picked it up, podcasts featured it. TikTok lit up with readers quoting passages, tagging me with tears in their eyes, saying, "This is me. This is my story." And I'll be honest, the attention felt amazing, but what stayed with me were the messages. The woman who said she walked away from her own sister after decades of manipulation. The man who emailed, saying his ex-wife left him for his brother. And he'd never spoken about it until he read my story. The 21-year-old girl who said she wasn't going home for Thanksgiving this year, and that for once, she felt okay about that. Each message felt like a piece of my own healing reflected back at me. Proof that the wound wasn't in vain, that speaking it out loud had built something useful. Abby cried at the launch event. Daniel stood in the back, clapping harder than anyone. Even my mom showed up. She wore a soft pink scarf and stood quietly near the snacks, watching the line form to get my signature. She didn't say much that night, but on her way out, she hugged me and whispered, "You were right to tell it." I just didn't realize how much I needed to hear it too. And Kara, she didn't come, but she sent flowers, peonies and eucalyptus, my favorite, with a note that simply said, "I'm still sorry. And still trying. Love, Kay." I stared at the card for a long time. I didn't cry, but I didn't throw it away either. I kept it, tucked in the back of my journal, not because I forgave her, but because I finally understood something no one ever taught me growing up. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's a boundary. A slow, inching back into your own skin. A decision you make over and over, not to give someone else access to your peace, even if you can still hold a tiny corner of compassion for who they used to be. Some days I missed her, not the her who hurt me, the her who used to hold my hand during storms, who danced with me in the living room in pajamas, who made me laugh so hard I nearly threw up on a family road trip. But that version, she didn't exist anymore, and I stopped waiting for her to come back. One day, I got a message request on Instagram. A girl I didn't know. No mutuals. Just a simple DM. "I listened to your podcast on betrayal. I'm 16. My sister slept with my boyfriend, and everyone says I'm being dramatic. But when you said, I stopped holding my pain hostage just to keep the peace, I broke. I needed you. Thank you." I sat there staring at that message, hand over my mouth. 16.16, and already being told to be the bigger person. 16, and already learning to perform composure for people who don't deserve it. I replied, "You are not dramatic. You are allowed to hurt. Keep your heart safe. You are not alone." And then I sobbed. Because that's why I did all of this. Not for Kara, not for Chris, not even for me, but for her, and every woman like her, every person who's ever been told they were too sensitive, too reactive, too emotional for daring to say, "You hurt me." And that matters. The book tour took me to 6 cities. Each stop was the same: quiet eyes, nervous hands, people lining up not just to get books signed, but to be seen. I hugged them all. I heard their stories. I carried them with me. One night, after a reading in Chicago, Daniel and I sat in the hotel bar, feet aching, too tired to talk. He reached across the table and took my hand. "You changed lives tonight," he said. I looked at him, tired, tender. "Home. I changed mine first," I said, "and that's the real ending. Not the book deal, not the launch party, not even the slow forgiveness still unfurling in the background. The real ending is this. I came back to myself, fully, without apology, without performance, without needing the people who hurt me to understand every chapter. I understood it. I owned it. And that was enough. I still get messages from readers, still get tagged in posts that say, I finally left. I finally said no. I finally spoke the truth. And every time, I whisper a thank you to the woman I used to be. The one who cried on the bathroom floor, who choked on her own silence, who almost said yes to a dress she didn't believe in, just to keep the lie alive. She didn't know it then, but she was the bravest version of me I've ever met. And now, she's free. So if you're out there, hurting, hiding, holding back your story because someone told you it would make things harder, tell it anyway, say it anyway, live it anyway, not for revenge, not for attention, but for yourself. Because healing starts the moment you say, I don't need your apology to begin again, and darling, you are allowed to begin again. As many times as it takes.